This is Bad Movies We Love, part of the Shice Podcast Network.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Hello there, Bad Movie Lovers, and welcome back to Bad Movies We Love. As always, I am your host, Nick Scheist.
The master of the stupid stuff!
And while that is true, before we get to the stupid stuff, last week, if you listened to the show, spent the first 10 minutes talking about sort of the difficulties and the peril, disaster that Los Angeles has been through. And now this week, we as a film community have lost David Lynch. And, you know, I spent more time in depth talking about it over on the Scheist podcast when we did last week at the movies this past week. But he's a director that I always admire, an artist that I admired. And it's a bummer that I'm never going to get to talk about any of his stuff on this show because, yeah, he's not a maker of bad movies. So, unfortunately, unless I do a special sub-series or unless I've got so many shows, I could do something on another show, and I might do that. But I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge him and pay my respects. That said, there is some stupid stuff to attend to as we get back in the swing of things. We got another new guest on the show. I was joined by Sully from the Jacked Up Review Show podcast to talk about a movie that we both saw probably a lot on cable back in the day. It's a horror movie that was right at home in the late 90s. And it's one that wore its affection and its respect for the genre and films within the genre on its sleeve. And it did so with a wink and a smile. So be careful what you wish for, because we're talking about Robert Kurtzman's Wishmaster from 1997.
If you're a movie guy, you'll generally like it.
Some people are not going to vibe with this, and then those people are definitely going to hate the movie.
After frame one, you just are like, this can't be happening.
Is that a TIE fighter?
You're also not going to get any more backstory.
Broad strokes, evil genie, we got it, right?
You know, he's not doing it to kill or rape anybody, and he's here for the slaughters.
He's not your friend. He's not going to sing you a song.
I tried using humor. I had a fake diamond and everything. I'm like, I'm not Pinhead. I'm not Apocalypse from X-Men.
Freddy's the only one that can joke, okay? We've already got the one guy with the weird face.
This is a total tribute to horror and dark fantasy.
It clearly loves the genre. It loves the people.
Sit down. Please. Sit down.
Where's Wendy?
Bedroom. But I wouldn't go in there if I were you. Messy. I needed her face.
You killed her?
Actually, I can't kill anyone. Not unless they wish me to. Your research should have told you that.
She didn't wish to be dead, you lying sack of shit!
Sully, thanks for being here, man.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm delightful. We need to defend more infamous movies.
Is this movie infamous?
Critics thought so.
They thought it was pretty bad, from
It was
what I
like
recall.
5%. I'm like, what? This is on every other station I can think of, and
Yeah.
it's money back.
It definitely was a sort of like cable staple, at least around the time that I was growing up. So that's how I saw it. And I remember liking it enough at the time, but I also grew up with like Leprechaun and Warlock and that kind of stuff. So it didn't feel too dissimilar from stuff that I already liked. And yeah, exactly. So maybe I was just like in the right sort of age group or in the right sort of demographic to like a movie like Wishmaster, which is what we're talking about today. But to your point, it has a 5.8 on IMDb, which is not terrible, but it has a 25% critic score on Rotten Tomato, a 39% audience score.
Yes.
A letterbox of 2.9, so again, basically a 5.8, but it has a just watch score of 76%, so that's pretty good. So people just seeking out where to find this movie seem to enjoy it, but it has an overall
2.9 on Letterbox. I would have thought that'd be a 4. Jeez.
Oh well, yeah, I know we gotta get it up there. Maybe by
we'll
the time we're
this.
done with this episode, we'll get people to get on board with it. But it has a bad movies we love total score of 40.76 out of 100. So that's fairly low, but not the lowest I've ever done on this show.
I mean, it had to land somewhere.
It did. I mean, I kind of like it being sort of not at the very bottom and then not too close to the watermark. So somewhere in the 40s and 50s is usually a good place to have a fun discussion. The movie usually has some strengths that are done very well, and then just it has some very glaring weaknesses to go along with that. So
yep.
We'll get into all that in a little bit, but because it's your first time here, do you want to tell my audience a little bit about yourself?
So, Jacked Up Review Show podcast has done all kinds of things. We've been doing everything from space operas to retro sitcoms to horror anthologies to crime epics, and we've been branching out lately, covering tie-in material for various materials. So, if your favorite video game got a comic book crossover, if your favorite movie or show became a video game, let's talk about it. Did it make good use of the license, or was it just a better idea on paper? Yeah,
that's
cash grab.
That's a cool idea because there is so much of that crossover going on, and even when looking through stuff like I did Barbed Wire.
Yes, you did.
Recently.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, right. I know. I was like, with Last Showgirl coming out, it's perfect. I know. Not to pat myself on the back. This was completely unintentional, but with that, like, there was a planned. Yeah, right. There was a planned video game adaptation of Barbed Wire. There was also like a graphic novel or a novelization of the movie that was made, but I don't know if it ever got published. So especially I think with movies that are like sort of rich in ideas and maybe rich in concept, and then maybe it's too much to make into a movie, or maybe it's too much for the script or something like that. But it's always nice to see those. And I'm a person that when I see something that I do enjoy, like Barbed Wire is a movie where I'm like, I wish I could play a video game of Barbed Wire and exist in that world for a little bit, because it seems like a lot of fun.
That's exactly it. It is the format. It's so funny. What would work as a primetime TV episode would be awful as a movie. It'd be anticlimactic. It's funny how, based on your delivery, it's more than just the execution. It is the expectation, the free time. It's funny what looks graphic in a movie is actually harmless as a video game. It's just like same idea, but different transmission of the idea, I like to say. It's also just funny just tackling people's expectations. And sometimes when you get a challenge, it's like, oh, why did this work here but angered me here?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to know myself.
Some mediums are maybe just better served for certain material, and kind of ran into that. A friend and I, my friend Seth from Movie Friends, we do X-Friends, which is an X-Men 97 animated series show. And sort of just like the freedom of that being a cartoon gives it the ability to like do all this stuff and maybe translate a little bit more directly from the page of a comic book to the screen. Whereas when you're trying to make it maybe work for a film, you try to make everything gritty. That's why like the whole original X-Men movie, they're joking about the black leather costumes and stuff. So So yeah, it might just
without being heavy-handed or you have to have read issue number 17 to get that.
Yeah, so there might just be certain ideas that are better served by better mediums, and I think Wishmaster is a film that I think benefits from being a film. And when I was done with it, Wishmaster 2 started playing, and I was like, I never saw Wishmaster 2, so I watched a little bit of it. I didn't end up sticking it all the way through because I had to do something else, but it was nice to see that, you know, you go on Tubi, you press play, they're just going to play the next Wishmaster movie right after that. So that was cool, but you and I had kicked around like a handful of different titles.
Your ideas were all phenomenal. I was just like, well, you need a defense lawyer. I'll explain to you why everyone hates it, but why there's a crowd out there.
But like in particular, like, how did we settle on this movie?
I actually don't remember. I think I thought I brought up a few memes or GIFs or something. Then you're like, you're talking about it enough. You must really love this. I'm like, I do love this. And then I think you were like, okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I need you on the show. I'm like, okay, cool. And we were going to do a episode on my show, and I was like, well, fine. Let's talk about an evil genie, you know?
Yeah.
And there is everything in this. There is a Robin Williams reference that I miss every time, but apparently is in the movie.
Wow, I didn't catch that one either.
Yeah.
You'll have to let me know, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yes, for everybody listening, we are talking about Wishmaster. It's a 1997 movie, which I feel like is a very underrated good year for movies in 97. There's a lot of my favorite movies are from 97. Also, it was like I was sort of beginning to pick movies of my own choosing around 97 as well. I wasn't just being given movies to watch. So maybe that has something to do with it. But this was produced by Wes Craven, directed by Robert Kurtzman, written by Peter Atkins, stars Tammy Loren, Andrew Divoff, Angus Scrimm, and Robert Englund, and then a whole host of other familiar faces from other projects. So I guess my question for you, I had mentioned Warlock and Leprechaun. Like, did you grow up like a fan of horror movies, and that's how you came across this?
I was a bit of everything. I was... I'm glad you bring this up because, like, most people will just go with a genre or whatever. I was pretty much just a special effects nut.
Yeah.
So I not only loved all the ILM, Industrial Light and Magic guys, but I loved all the, once you see Jurassic Park, then you want to see everything Stan Winston's worked on, from Aliens to Predator to everything. And, Kurtzman is on there. I had heard the name and I had seen his interview where he talked about how Sam Raimi got his foot in the door because he loved the work he did. Was the second unit director and head effects guy on Army of Darkness. And so like many, I did. Part 2 was on TV quite a lot. It was just easier to modify. And Andrew Divoff was just one of those actors. He was like, wait a second, I know that guy. And yeah, you want to talk sneaky bastard. Like, he was just one of those, like, I saw him just like in everything. Toy Soldiers, 48 Hours, and then guest spots on, Briscoe County. And everything, and he just was always one of those guys. I'm just like, I have seen his face many times, but unlike all the Lance Henriksen's or Tony Todd, the latter, rest in peace, who's in this movie, those guys were more visible, kind of like Michael Ironside. He was kind of like, he's done so much, you'd seen more of his work than you realize, and because he's part Venezuelan, part Russian, when Rapid Share took over the internet, spoilers, that's how I became a big B-movie guy in college. I was just like, I just could not escape this man. Like, there was even a random sci-fi horror convention in town in Dallas back in, I want to say, 2014. and half the proceeds were going to a dog charity, I was stressed in film school, and my mother was just like, go to this place. And lo and behold, the Wishmaster's there, and I miss him by like a day, by a few hours, but I still end up talking to other people who've been involved with the franchise in some capacity or just worked with him in general. And I think this is it. Like, he is just a guy who I wish could have been a James Bond or villain or a Star Trek alien. He just has that look where I don't know if he's going to be comedic or just, gruesome or intense. And again, you got, I think, I'm sorry, I'm getting way too long-winded. I think, like, many of these,
go for it.
And many of these movies, when I saw it, I want to say this really got me back into horror, because that's just, I mean, I had always liked all kinds of things, but like, I was watching all kinds of stuff that blended different genres, from body parts to gremlins to, and this was kind of the Poltergeist, and I just, it's kind of a send-up of monster movies. It references 2 very distinct Twilight Zone episodes, and it's a monkey's paw comedic delivery. And I'm sure we'll get into the most common complaints and have to defend them, but like, many people complain about how he breaks the rules, and I guess from the first frame up, while Leprechaun is very lowbrow, this is kind of a very delightful lowbrow. So I was just always like, yeah, from the first frame up, it's very clear he's going to break every rule imaginable. So, but at least they set it up that way instead of starting some premise and not sticking with it. Like,
yeah, I mean, they set him up as an evil genie who clearly has maybe more control of his magic than some other genies we've seen on screen at that point. But it makes him a much more menacing and interesting character to bring to the screen. Yeah. Yeah, more perverted too, he's extra creepy and stuff, but I think what you mentioned about sort of effects and like getting into effects specific type of films, like coming out of the 70s like slasher push and into the early 80s, like when all these horror movies were just like exploding all over the place. That was one of the best things to come out of it, was that like really good prosthetic effects work really took off, and there was like a huge investment in it. And one of the reasons that sort of most of the movies I talk about on this show operate or are from the past, I should say, is because like all of the effects work then just felt so much more like tangible and real in a meaningful way. And in talking to people for the course, I mean, this is season 4 now. So over the course of the 3 seasons I've done this, talking to people online, hosting film club, all this stuff, so many people really actually care quite a bit about the value that practical effects bring to a film. And so it's interesting to me that there's so many people that care so much, yet the push was still in the opposite direction to like do everything cheaper and faster with CGI. But then the ultimate result on the screen is like never satisfying. So I'm glad that I get to talk about movies that are like at least in the 20 to 30-year-old range most of the time, because we get stuff like this that has some awesome practical effects work, and it really makes the movie fun, even though it's very gruesome in moments.
Instead of a movie which has a divisive plot twist that twists everyone the wrong way. There's nothing worse, especially when prepping for a show, when talking about a movie that like people just will violently ambush, like it really angered them. Like, oh geez, that kind of killed the fun of it for those who did actually want to talk about it,
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes it's like, hey man, I'm sure there's an audience for this out there, but this movie, it got under my skin in a bad way. Like, it didn't disturb me. It just pissed me off.
And that's never a rewarding feeling. So it's nice to see that like a lot of filmmakers now are still sort of being willing to do some of this stuff with practical effects. And a movie,
I think they're just getting smarter with money.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I see so many where it's like, there's no way that costs $2 million.
yeah. Well, yeah. First, the half of it's the drug budget. The other half is for the movie itself. But like a movie like In a Violent Nature, like whether or not you like it, it focused very heavily on
it was a send up. It was
its
a mod.
influences. Yeah, exactly. It really spent a lot of time and effort, like making the kills exceptionally gory, trying to make it look as good and as realistic as possible, given the highly impossible ways that people are killed in that movie.
Yes.
It still focuses on that, and like the attention to detail in making something like that now I really appreciate and respect, even if the movie itself like isn't reinventing the genre or anything like that.
Have you ever waited for the hype to just kind of die down just because everyone's giving you just very mixed feelings and you're just like, just let me decide. I'll wait for Showtime. I'll wait for Tubi.
Yeah, I used to, but now that I have AMC A-list, I'm at the movies all the time. Like I was there today, so I'm going to the movies maybe like 3 or 4 times a week. So it's like if something is overhyped, I maybe back off. Like for example, Shogun, right? Everybody loves Shogun. Yeah. I was ready to go the night of the first episode, and I asked my wife, like, do you want to watch this right now? She said no. And then it was like, all right, we haven't watched any of them. So by the time I eventually get around to it, now that it's, won some Golden Globes and stuff.
There you go.
Now it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm ready, and she is ready to buy in as well. So yeah, I don't know, because like hype is kind of out of control. Both directions. It's like either something's amazing or something sucks, and there's like no in between anymore. So yeah.
And then when you ask them to explain themselves, it's like that sounds like every movie,
right? So
is it good or bad, or did you? And I love it when you have to ask even more. It's just like, so it sounds like you like this just because you like anything with the actor.
That happens too. Like sometimes it's like good? this director is making a movie, so I'm automatically on board, and like that's okay too. But I try to sort of just consider the source most of the time.
Yes,
and if it's someone who's like seen it and whose opinion like I trust or who has similar taste to me, then maybe that works. But my advice to other people is always just go see the movie yourself and make up your own mind. So that's kind of what I try. I hate
it when I see people like, I avoid it. I'm like, well, maybe if you take money out of the equation, you might like it. I see that as well. It's like, and then there's other times where it's just like, you might like it now, but not in 5 years.
Yeah, that's possible too. And I like going to the movies so much. There's probably a lot of movies where I just enjoy the experience of being in the theater and I have fun while I'm in there. Yeah. And then maybe I do watch it at home a couple years later and I'm like, man, whatever, that's bound to happen here or there. But when we watch a lot of movies, not everything is going to stick. So that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever gotten on like a limit on rewatchability? Like I did that with The Deer Hunter and I was like, great movie, still like it even more. The last time I watched this, that emotionally wiped me out. I can't. No.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. If
I already know what I love. I already know what I don't like, but it's overall a masterpiece. And this is the last time I watch it.
Yeah, I would have to think
I don't have because 4 hours.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever consciously been like, this is the last time I'm watching this great movie. But there are movies where I'm like, yeah, that was great. I don't need to watch it again anytime soon. And then it's like been 20 years and then I watch it and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think I was right. Like Requiem for a Dream is one of those where I'm like, it's a brilliant film, but I don't need to like have that in the rotation all the time.
That's the other thing too, is like something might be objectively good, but is it really the best of all time? And I don't really base it so much even on rewatchability as much as, am I still talking about it?
Yeah.
Or am I, the more I'm talking about it, finding plot holes? I mean,
I think great movies have staying power. And, for our film club, like we ended up talking about Godfather because we did like a Mafia month. And so, of course, somebody knows Godfather. and then we watched Godfather 1 and it was like, yeah, Godfather is an amazing film. But am I going to go back and watch it? Am I going to go watch Godfather again anytime soon after that? No, probably not. But it is amazing. And there's a reason why it's held up there in such high regard as one of the greatest movies ever made is because it's fantastic. Yes. So, yeah, I get it.
Then much like people like to rip off the narration of like Goodfellas, it just wrecks me every time when I see people doing a very bad like montage of time passing. And it's like, no, you got to do it Godfather way while something's going on.
I need that
Musical
transition scene of the mustache turning into a tree with Vito. It's like this transition scene that like I never paid attention to, but because I'm always online now, I saw it and I'm like, I didn't realize people obsessed over this shot in the movie, but they do.
I had no idea.
It's a good transition. I'll send it to you later if I can find it. But let's get back to Wishmaster.
So I sent you some photos on Insta of my Wishmaster cosplay.
Oh, yes, do it.
It's on the Instagram feed, and I was devastated because no one knew who the hell I was playing.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I tried using humor. I had a fake diamond and everything. I'm like, I'm not Pinhead. I'm not Apocalypse from X-Men.
Wow.
You don't know who I am.
Oh, that breaks my heart. But I'm going to check out those pictures. Well, let's take a moment now. We'll set the table. We'll let people know what was going on with Wishmaster back in 1997. So, as we said, this is really kind of a love letter to popular horror films of the era. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have Robert Englund in this, who played Freddy Krueger. We got Kane Hodder, who plays Jason Voorhees. He was also in this as a security guard.
Yes.
Tony Todd is in this. Ted Raimi's in this. Rico Ross, Joseph Pilato, Reggie Bannister, Angus Scrimm from the Phantasm series. Yeah, Jenny O'Hara, Chris Lemmon, George Buckflower, Vern Troyer also in this, as well as I guess
Tom Savini's the guy at a pharmacy who's like, "What's going on? What's wrong?" And the guy's dying. I forget the wish.
He wants him to have cancer.
Right. Yeah.
He dies of cancer.
I hope you die of cancer. Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. It's super rude. But yeah, Vern Troyer is he's Ginny Me, the small version that we see in the beginning
when he transforms.
Yeah. And then this was written by Peter Atkins, known for his work on the Hellraiser films. And he incorporated a lot of surnames of notable horror and fantasy writers into the script, like Beaumont, Derleth, Merritt, Eichmann. And subtle reference to Fritz Lieber is made throughout the film as well. It's a sort of an off-screen character. And so like all these creative choices really underscore this film being like a movie made by horror fans for horror fans. And
with the Pazuzu statue.
Yeah, exactly.
From The Exorcist.
So it's not like an overwhelming success at the box office, but it's 102nd overall on the domestic box office, and it's doing that without a major label behind it too. So pretty successful still. Ends up earning $16 million against its $5 million budget. Goes on to become a cult classic. And I've got a friend who is really into horror and practical effects as well. He's a huge Beekler fan. And and so this is like his kind of movie. And he messaged me when I sort of put out a little tweet saying like, hey, if you know this movie and you like it, like let me know like what your experience was. And he's like, oh, I was at the theater multiple times for this movie. So yeah, Nick's over at Cinema Shit Show. When he told me he went to see this multiple times in theaters, I was like, that's very on brand for you. So not surprised. But yeah, like this is a movie that sort of was stuck in its niche for sure, but successful within that. And I think enjoyable to the people that it was intended for. But like, what was your first experience with this? Was this something that like you saw on VHS? Was it something you went to the theater for? Is this a cable movie you saw for the first time?
I lucked out on GeoCities. I would always see a lot of fanfare for everything from, you got to check out other movies with Stephen Dorff. He was so amazing in Blade. I would see all kinds of other cult movies, and Wishmaster just was always in that thing. And I think it just stood out more just because just seeing this evil genius and he's letting everything just hit the fan. And again, the effects were very appealing. And I guess the comedy just is like, and I got vibes of the Terminator at times where he's stalking this woman. Yeah. I know other people have likened it to Warlock and everything. And I just all kinds of other trivia. But yeah, before the Expendables came around, I did see a lot of people say, hey, this is a total tribute to horror and dark fantasy. You know, I was already a fan of other stuff like The Mummy. I think what made it above Leprechaun, where Leprechaun is just kind of a so bad it's good movie. I think this one was more just like, yeah, this is just very intriguing. And unfortunately, I saw a good chunk of the sequels on TV, and so it took me till college to just finally figure out. And it was kind of a dry run. It was just kind of, I was having fun. But then when I thought to myself after the fact, I was like, you know, I really dug all that just build up to all this chaos. It was never ending chaos. And then it finally ended, and it wasn't a happy ending, but it was still just very nutty. I think because so much chaos goes on, I never feel like it's just, oh, how lucky, you know, they finally put the genie back in the, you know, box finally. But I think it's just, it was a slow burn, I guess. And the marketing's not too bad, and I would always see at Walmart's the double feature DVDs of the first two movies. I mean, the second one premiered on HBO, for God's sakes. But so I guess I think it just came out at the wrong time, because I mean, there were so many other bigger similar movies out at that time. You had Event Horizon, you had infamous stuff like Spawn, you had Devil's Advocate, you had all kinds of stuff in '97. I think just it just came out at a bizarre time where it just wasn't and not everyone could find it.
Yeah, it happens. You know, I mean, it's a September movie, so like getting ready for Halloween season, but obviously going to be in a very competitive marketplace at that time, where this is a movie where I think if it were made in 2024, this would be like a January horror film.
They eat it up.
Yeah, make it now, put it out at the beginning of the year while everybody is like, you know, heavily focused on award season and all that, and give us something like this to give us some counter programming from, you know, award season fatigue.
That's a good point. It did kind of come out after all the different awards, and I guess also, unless you were really big into the genre, you were more, despite Wes Craven putting his name on it, I guess everyone was tiring of all the other Scream knockoffs, and I guess this is what I liked. Like, it's an Elm Street style slasher, but I guess I also dug it because there's no rapist or sexual crime undertone. There's nothing perverted. There's language, but it's all kind of people reacting instead of just, you know, this is a funny movie, but, you know, because Jim Carrey or, you know, Eddie Murphy cursed too much, I can't bring kids to it. And I guess this is it. Like, it's just very much like Gremlins. It is a hit the fan kind of thing. And I guess it was always going to be a video store kind of gym. This is when Lionsgate's whole Live and Artisan company has split up, and they're acquiring other independent movies like Cube. And I guess I just dug that there wasn't a torture porn aspect to it. It wasn't the billionth serial killer knockoff, and it wasn't the billionth like dark fantasy thing. And so I guess much like The Mummy of '99, it was always going to be kind of just a fun spectacle.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it's like it definitely has like Hellraiser elements, right?
Yes. It's got it doesn't have a lemon configuration, but it does have a guide who just basically forces people to choose. It's like, I'm not going away.
It's got like a little object in it that unleashes hell on everybody. So it's a little similar, but like just in terms of how it uses its visual effects, it's kind of, there's some Hellraiser vibes going on. It also reminded me a lot of Candyman while it was going on, because like you said, it's not overly sexual, but it's sort of like flirtatious and lusty the way he wants Alexandria, like, you know, the way he whispers, the way he's constantly like in her mind. Even when he finally runs into her, he's like, come on, just make those wishes, let's do it. He's not like doing it for sexual gratification, but he is sort of embodying kind of like a sexual confidence in him. But I mean, he's a genie, so good for him.
That's a good point. It's like, it's kind of like a maintaining power thing as opposed to like, I guess what always did it for me is it's irrelevant what he does with all his world conquering. You know, like if it were to get to that point, then there'd be no end to the movie. Like it just, you got to have some kind of hope. And I guess that's just it. Like I would see other people say, I don't really get this guy. There's not much character to him. I'm like, well, I think there's enough of him. He's able to be way over the top without being hamming it for the camera. And I'm like, it's like I just always got a sense of he's his own fun character, even though, yes, the plot's similar to Hellraiser and Elm Street, but it's not to the point of like, I could call it a mile away. I really didn't know where it was going to go. The tone is just, it's just a fun roller coaster ride. But I guess because it was the 10th one you rode, everyone was just worn out because they'd had too much fun earlier.
Yeah, and like you make a good point that he's not as like stoic as Pinhead, who sort of is always very like, he's very buttoned down too for a demon with a bunch of nails in his head. He's always very calm and very level, and then he's not, you know, the djinn is not like a Freddy character either, who's like always super cheeky, right? Like he's cracking like slapstick type of jokes. He's almost like the Mask at that point.
I like that. I could see an evil Jim Carrey as the Wishmaster, but yeah, I think that's just it. Like it was one of those. He was a. Yeah, it is weird. It's like Pinhead is one of many voices to basically what exists, the void between purgatory and hell, and the djinn is all kind of like, now that I'm free to do what I want, look at what I can do.
Yeah, just like a general air of sort of mischief. It seems like he takes joy in sort of letting people think that their wish will come true, only to like switch it and be evil on them. He's like, gotcha again. You didn't learn from the last one.
All you have to do is word it as a question or as a command, and I will use that that's what initiates that. So I guess that's the only drawback, is if you didn't prey on as many. I think it just got me in because after frame one, you just are like, this can't be happening. Like it's kind of in an Evil Dead way. It's not as mystical or well guarded, like a on the run kind of thing as Phantasm, although I would love it to be part of that universe. It's more kind of, and then this happens, and oh, you can't be serious, and then this happens. I just somehow, it's just, the rule breaking was welcome. I want to see what crazy mayhem will happen next, instead of, I got bored after kill number 5. You know, I just really love the shit hitting the fan. I really do. Divoff is proud of it. I still think he could do a 5th one. He came out with his own gin brew.
Oh, wow. Nice. Have you tried it?
I haven't. I'm not a drinker, but a lot of people like it.
Well, if you're a drinker and you want to try it, it's available.
It is available. Yep.
Well, I like that he's a genie that sort of is bound by rules, but we never actually get the rules explained. There's just sort of an understanding of,
it would be boring.
He's a genie.
To us.
You get 3 wishes.
Yeah.
And so when he is like, that wasn't really a wish. It was kind of just like an acknowledgement of something I said. Cool. I'm going to kill you now. So yeah, that's the fun part of the movie, is that you can tell that he's having a lot of fun doing it. And it's always rewarding, I think, for me, at least personally, to see people like having fun in a role or in an environment where fun is part of it, because then it's like, yeah, okay, everybody on the set was having fun and understanding that like you're all kind of making this type of movie. Like if you're over serious in the role, like it doesn't land. So
yes,
good for him.
I never feel like everybody was, it was a most unusual cast, just a mixture of horror actors as well as B-level and TV actors, as well as semi-known character people, as well as people who, you know, you would never know their name, but they got a gazillion different ones. It was just reasonable casting. I know Dina Meyer was supposed to play the lead originally. That might have made it be bigger, but, you know, she's busy doing other stuff. You know?
right? I know. I think Starship Troopers was like a year or two before this, so she might have been like,
Dragonheart,
I don't know if I'm going to go to Wishmaster after this.
Yeah, and kudos to everybody. You know, it's just like they've all acknowledged it. You know, I mean, both Tammy, Lauren, and Divoff have been on a Criminal Minds episode. It seems like,
oh wow,
even Tony Todd was. It seems like all kinds of people acknowledge this.
Yeah, my wife's a big Criminal Minds fan. I'll have to ask her, like, do you recognize this guy? She'll be like, yeah, he was a killer on Criminal Minds. Be like, I bet he was.
Love that.
I bet he was.
Divoff was basically a thief who, a thief couple, like psychotic, like thieves who convinced their kid to also steal and kill for them. And it was funny how he just looked at him like, yeah, he's looking at him like, you will stay, you will gain the family's trust, and then I will rob them later, okay? You'll get your burger later.
All right, well, Criminal Minds fans out there, you got something to look forward to.
I'd love that. If your wife wants to be on the show, we will do a Criminal Minds special soon.
She loves Criminal Minds. My friend
it's
actually
one of the few horror shows on TV, like X-Files.
Yeah, my friend, who I've known him for 30 years, he was a camera loader for a long time on Criminal Minds, and then when they switched to digital, he was a camera assistant, and I think he came back and did the newer reboot,
the reiteration.
He was with it throughout like the whole initial run, so lots of I'll ask him some questions.
I hope he didn't have to deal with the cinematographer who was known for touching people inappropriately and had to be escalated.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard about that story yet. So,
long story short, for a very successful show, I don't know how we got here, but here we are. It had the worst HR ever in Hollywood.
Ooh, I'll have to ask him about that when we get
lots of gore, lots of unusual. How'd we get here, and how'd you kill? So, I would love the Wishmaster to appear in just some capacity, whether it's like a video game or another horror franchise.
Well, speaking of the Wishmaster, did you prepare a synopsis haiku for the show?
Yes, I tried my best.
All right, that's all I ask.
I test ran the first one. Is like, yeah, too many syllables. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. So, a troubled college student accidentally awakens an ancient evil genie and must stop its mayhem from consuming the world.
Hey, there you go.
Sorry, it's probably not the best synopsis, but it's way more short.
Well, because the thing with doing like a haiku is that boiling down an entire movie's premise into like 3 thoughts that are contained with only 17 total syllables. So it's never easy, but I always find like it's just a fun muscle to flex. And, you know, people I talk to are like, I'm not an expert in haikus. I'm like, well, neither am I. That's why I decided to do this so that we can just, have something to do on the show that's maybe a little bit different. I did do one, and I started it while I was watching the movie, thankfully, because I feel like it's always better when I do it that way. Because when I wait a day, then I'm like, I don't know, I gotta circle back. So I came up with, what do you wish for? The genie has darker plans. It ends at the start. So for people that have seen the movie, they'll get it. If you haven't seen the movie, you'll just be like, I don't know what he's talking about. And then I would just recommend watching Wishmaster because it's fun.
Yes. Oh man.
So, we talked a lot about so far what we like about the movie, why it may have failed, like what it does well. But if you had to surmise why someone would say that this is in fact a bad movie, what's your best guess?
Why would a man say a thing like that?
I think the horror community likes it. I think I'm part of the crowd where it's just, if you're a movie guy, you'll generally like it. However, if you're just very, very picky, you really are going to hate it.
That's
like
fair.
I would tell people about it. They would see me dressing up, and then I would talk about it, and they'd be like, that sounds fucking terrible. That sounds awful. And, these are people who love everything from Evil Dead and Gremlins and other naughty kind of movies, I'm like, well, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So sorry.
Yeah. I mean, look, this movie has a very sort of specific vibe to it.
Yes.
And I am very much okay with movies just being vibe movies.
Mhm.
And if you're vibing with it, then it's all good and everything's good. But then you run the risk of like, hey, some people are not going to vibe with this, and then
Absolutely
those
not.
people are definitely going to hate the movie. So, like, if I had to think, maybe horror fatigue would be one of the reasons that this movie is not as well liked as it is, because if you want maybe like the fantasy elements of the horror, you go to A Nightmare on Elm Street. If you want the slasher element, you go to the Halloweens or the Friday 13th.
Yes.
If you want the magic, you go to Warlock or Leprechaun.
Yeah,
So then, like,
absolutely.
this movie is sort of, in between all of those. It's like it's friends with all those other movies, very, very honestly.
Yes.
But maybe it's the friend that the other friend doesn't want to hang out with kind of situation. Hey, I brought Wishmaster here. They're like, no, Wishmaster sucks. Get him out of here.
Get him the hell out of here. Wow.
Well, let's go back and let's take a look at the trailer from '97, and we'll see how this was marketed and what audience they're trying to market this to. Obviously, it's a horror audience, but we'll see how close to the chest they play this.
Before we get to the trailer, it's time for a quick word from today's sponsor. Have you or someone you know been swindled by a manipulative genie? Have you ever had your wishes misinterpreted, intentionally or otherwise? Were you coerced into a wish you didn't want to make? Well, it sounds like you need wish insurance. So call Atkins Wish Insurance at 1-800-YOU-WISH today to see if you qualify. You see, unlike regular insurance that collects premiums and hates paying out, wishes are governed by magical law, so you can purchase protection after a wish gone wrong and still be entitled to reimbursement. The Atkins team of retired good genies know the magical laws inside and out, so if you have a claim, they'll find out. When there's an evil genie on the loose, you wouldn't want to be caught dead without it. So make sure you call Atkins Wish Insurance, 1-800-YOUWISH. And now, back to the show.
Lovely.
Bear with me. All right, got some screen sharing. Let's go.
Watch that crate, that's very expensive!
Look at that. You drop a crate on Raimi to start the movie? To start the trailer? Let's go.
Don LaFontaine. Yeah.
Waiting. And now, he is coming. He knows your secret hopes. He sees your private dreams.
See, he's a little
he can
pervy.
grant your every desire.
A little darker.
Greedy, man. How about $1 million? I remember a certain
Here we are, laughing like maniacs.
centuries. God, how I'd love to host a party like that.
I wish to be beautiful forever.
Yeah, he like sort of tricks this lady into wishing for this and then turns her into a mannequin.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the CGI doesn't age that well, but the practical effects are great.
Would you like to escape?
They just asked him a question. Would you like to escape? Yeah, and all right. That's a wish.
For your life.
Yes.
Pray for your soul. But
I guess maybe it gave too much away in the trailer.
Ready to play? Don't make a wish.
Interesting.
And don't you love the Star Wars sound effects?
Right. Is that a TIE fighter?
Yeah. The Death Star is firing. Oh, DHX sound effects.
Well, the trailer doesn't give us much of a story. It gives us a concept. Like, here's a genie, he's evil, but we don't know really like who the characters are that they show us in the movie. So okay. People are dying, there's an evil genie. I could see if you're a horror fan, like when you go to Nightmare on Elm Street, when you go to the slashers, when you go to an established property, you sort of already know kind of who the key players are, and if you're switching key players, you sort of understand like the structural pacing of like, all right, well, there's going to be like a party, these kids are going to have sex, someone's going to die early.
I think that's what I liked about it too.
Will be saved till the end.
Right, he's stalking the gal, but he's not. He's not doing it to kill or rape anybody, and he's here for the slaughter. So I guess I like it more in kind of a defense and falling down kind of way. Like he's just going around, and everywhere he goes, stuff is burning.
Yeah, I mean, his ultimate goal is to unleash a world of genies, right? And just have basically like a hellscape type of world to exist in.
Yes.
But I mean, if you understand the context of like the djinn are like essentially an enslaved race of people,
yes,
and then this movie doesn't have like the ability to articulate that backstory and really give us like a fully fleshed out character here with the djinn. He's more of like broad strokes, evil genie. We got it, right? He's not your friend. He's not going to sing you a song. No. He's going to kill you. And that's fine. And I like the sort of basic idea of that. Like, what if we take a genie and we make him evil and all of your wishes he twists inside out? I would have liked to see some manipulation of the wishes a
glimmer of the humor, because that's the other thing too. I would see people say this is the funniest thing I saw. I don't know if it's intentional. I was like, I think it's very intentional, unlike Leprechaun, where it's both funny and unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
Trashy movie that everyone secretly saw some of, and so it's just so weird. It's like that you didn't see a lick of any of the dark comedy or any of the amusing one-liners that the djinn lets out. It's just kind of all just wishing while you're seeing all, part as much PG chaos as you can put in an R-rated trailer.
Yeah, it felt closer probably to Hellraiser than the movie actually.
Definitely more Hellraiser, Warlock.
Yeah. It's like, there's going to be fire. People are going to get their heads ripped off by piano wire. Oh, look, a skeleton like getting ripped out of this guy's body, which is a fantastic practical effect. It looks so good. Like I was shocked at how clean they were able to do that. And
yes, I'm like, how did they
make a really
that?
fleshy, disgusting looking skeleton?
Yes, and then all the Foley and the other stuff, and maybe that might be it. I guess because the piano effect wasn't the best effect in the movie, they shouldn't have included it in the trailer, I guess.
Yeah, like the wires coming off of the piano, not great. But then when we get the wires wrapping around, it's Kurtzman, right? That's him in that cameo.
Yeah, I mean that's his Hitchcock walk-on moment.
Yeah, so that where we see the wire like wrapping around his head, and then you cut to the edit of like the head being yanked off of the dummy or whatever. Like that's a great edit and a great use of practical effects. But like the wires becoming alive on the piano, sort of, there's a mix. Like some of the CGI and the visual effects are not spectacular in this.
They're moderate, but it's one of those where it's a product of its time. Could have been remastered a bit better. I guess I'm just an easier crowd because I mean I have seen everything from Babylon 5 type stuff where the story is good, but the effects are as low budget as you can get.
Yeah. And like I think CGI and visual effects at the very outset are the things that are probably going to age the harshest because, I recorded on a friend's podcast, we did Hollow Man, and she was like, the CGI in this movie is like, it's so bad. And I was like, I don't think it is. It's almost 30 years old. And for the most part, like it looks pretty good. They did a lot of it with a green suit, so it's not even like motion capture. This is like they did a fairly good job. The vanishing effect is still pretty good. It was nominated for an Oscar for best visual effects. Like I felt like for a 25-year-old movie to be pulling off like invisibility that way was pretty solid.
Yeah, say what you want about the movie. I would say it was still T2 level, where that was where most of the money went, was making sure the effects are right,
And I will say that I love Hollow Man, so I'm
That's
not
fine
afraid.
too,
I'm not
dude.
afraid. I'm a big time Hollow Man guy.
Trust me, I'm doing so many Verhoeven retrospects. I love a lot of his Dutch work, and I feel like if more people saw his Dutch work, they would have actually better understood his American movies.
I think that's part of it too, because some friends that did the show, the most listened to episode of this show ever was the one I did on Showgirls, and
oh wow,
it's like understanding who Paul Verhoeven is changes the way that you perceive the film. And so like same thing with Starship Troopers, same thing with Hollow Man. Like the more that you understand him as a person, the more what the film's identity is shifts a little bit. And I love that about him. The more I've gotten to know him, like I always liked RoboCop, but the more I understood like where he came from, him, like what his influences are, like his experience with sort of like totalitarian,
making fun of fascist governments.
Yeah, exactly. So knowing that changes how you go into a movie. And
if you look at him at face value, you could think, okay, he's a quarter of the way through a Sam Raimi or Joe Dante type thing, which definitely is what Wishmaster's going through. But then when you actually see all this stuff, it's like he's going for dark comedy. He's also going for tragedies, going for emotional tour de forces. And it seems like a lot of people with the Hollywood blockbusters would get the emotion, but not get why they like the movie, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, Verhoeven's great, though. I love him.
Like, I mean, everyone was going to see Total Recall because it's an Arnold movie. It's a big all-star cast and effects spectacle, but everyone was also forgetting, oh, wow, there's all these allusions to, a totalitarian government in space. And there's all this making fun of airport and terrorism security and making fun of Hollywood blockbusters near the end.
Yeah. Like he's smart enough to be able to sort of do both at the same time, which is not easy to do. Like you have to be very well versed in what you're doing and like have a very strong belief that you can pull it off. And so I think
you will try.
Yeah, he's a very interesting filmmaker, and I think, we'll miss him a lot more the further we get away from sort of like his era of greatness. But even when I saw Benedetta, like I really like Benedetta. It's not up there with his like works that I love the most, but he still has something to say.
It was so obvious. And I saw someone, I think in Collider or The Verge, go, Verhoeven returns to his trashy roots. I'm like, he was never trashy, but go on. You still liked it, but it doesn't sound like you really got it or liked it. I mean, yes, there's sex in it, but it's in no way an erotic thriller. And I just saw people labeling it that. I'm like, just because there's nudity in it doesn't mean it's sexual.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't describe it as an erotic thriller, that's for sure.
No, hell no. It's a religious prosecution, dark fantasy movie. I saw other people say it's not scary, and I'm like, it's horror in that it involves demonic possession and exorcisms, and that's it. I think that's the other thing too. Do you think people are just getting mute on every genre? Like, people will hate it when you call something action. And it's like, well, there was an explosion, so even if it didn't excite you, like the whole point was to be kind of a fast-paced movie. And I feel like horror, same deal. Like people will be like, "Oh, it got that because it has a serial killer monster in it." I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's got some degree of that. If it was a gothic period drama horror mystery, it would probably get a horror label because it's based on Henry James or whatever. I don't know."
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of genre lovers that are like, this is the genre style, that's what I like. And then if like you veer from that, not so much. There's also a lot of filmmakers who love genre stuff and want to make genre stuff. But I think when there's horror, and then there's psychological horror, there's environmental, there's so many different subgenres of horror that like if you really start to parse it all out, you're really like limiting the scope of a story that you can tell. So more filmmakers that have been exposed to a lot of like cross genre stuff, or that even grew up as like genre fans, are like, I want to sort of take an idea that exists in this genre and then turn it into something else. So it's like you're borrowing tools from a bunch of different toolboxes to make this. So I think we're getting into like a very interesting territory where films are, some filmmakers, I should say, are trying to like make films that are like genreless by combining a lot of different styles. But then the people that have been conditioned into being like, I'm a genre specific type of fan, sort of like, it's hard to latch onto that when it's like, oh, well, like it is horror, but like only this part of it is horror. And then like, well, this isn't horror. And then it gets into drama stuff. And like, I don't know what to do with that. So I can't classify it as the thing that I'm used to classifying it, that I would automatically be a fan of. So
some are obvious.
It's interesting though.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like Alien, you could say, you know, it's always a sci-fi setting, but each of them have horror moments and some of them have action moments. It is funny though how there are those where you're like, I really don't know how to classify this. Like it was funny, but it was more of a drama. And then I think Wishmaster would have been more successful had it been kind of a Lake Placid or Cocaine Bear kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's funny and there is some kind of action adventure, but it's mostly kind of a dark comedy creature feature slash. You know,
wear your humor on your sleeve, because it's something that the movie does well, and that the movie takes time to actually craft. I mean, you get him sort of like his snide joke about Houdini escaping the water tank. Like there's all this stuff about don't you want to escape? He says, yeah, all right, now you're bound in a
that
tank.
Was perfect.
Houdini did it in 2.5 minutes. Good luck, kind of thing. And so like that kind of stuff is funny. And the character has like this charisma and this charm to him that could make him very much, like you said, like a Jim Carrey version of this. I think that's a little bit more physical and a little bit more slapsticky might have been what was missing from this being a higher tier like movie in the public eye. But it's definitely there. It shouldn't stray from it. And it's okay that a horror movie is allowed to like have the villain having fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing you're going to get at this point. I mean, you're not going to get the more over the top version of this, you know, and you're also not going to get any more backstory. You're getting as much as they designated was needed. You know,
yeah, that's a good point.
It's like him. It's funny how that was enough for people to latch on to Freddy, but it wasn't enough for other audiences here. And I don't know.
Freddy's the only one that can joke. Okay, we've already got the one guy with the weird face, and he's in the outfit and in your mind and stuff. No, that's Freddy's territory. You can't go there. So that's what I'm saying about like sort of the idea that like because he's trying to occupy a space that another horror icon already has,
Evil
right?
Dead.
So it's like, no, the Wishmaster is not allowed in here. Get him out of here. Like, we don't want him in horror. We don't want him in comedy. Like, he's just sort of like that friend that nobody wants to hang out with, and it's a bummer.
I see people saying this is the worst acting I've ever seen in a movie, and I'm just like,
you got to watch more movies if that's
politely disagree. I don't. These people actually had careers, and I don't see anything that would come off as Sci-Fi Channel or soap opera territory where you're like, okay, Cry Me a River.
I mean, the movie knows it's a B movie, but nowhere during the
maybe
movie
that's it.
Did I think that like the acting was exceptionally poor.
Oh, that's a good point too. Like what I have done this before where people are like, I don't consider that a B movie, and it's just like, do you know what B movie means? It doesn't mean bad. It just means it's a genre kind of, you know, low budget kind of thing.
Low budget,
like,
yeah.
Even big budget stuff like Star Trek or Alien can be designated as like a big budget B movie. You know, Predator, Terminator, you know, started out as a B movie, then became a big budget franchise. It's funny how, I mean, Indiana Jones was based off, you know, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, but because Spielberg even said, I designated those as fun Friday night B movies. And it's like, because people get into the numbers crunch, it's like, well, that doesn't change anything. It might change in terms of the quality, sure, but
I'm curious if it comes from a place of like people not wanting to admit that they like something that's like trashy, right? I mean, I do this show. Like, the show is Bad Movies We Love. The acknowledgement is that when you come on the show, we are both in agreement that the movie that we're talking about is something that is widely considered bad, and we're okay loving something that is trash, and that's fine. Like my friends at Cinema Shit Show, they call it like a trashterpiece, and like
trashterpiece. I love it.
Yeah, some movies are like that, and some aren't, and it's okay to just like things that are maybe not the pinnacle of filmmaking. And this is a movie that definitely knows the space which it operates in, and I appreciate that.
That's a good point too. Like that, everyone is so busy trying to get a bandwagon on. I almost feel like those are the same kind of people who, the minute they see something bad, they're like, it needs the Joe Bob, Elvira, the Mystery Science Theater treatment. I'm like, well, not necessarily. If it's boring, you're not going to have any fun with or without commentary. So I mean, it is kind of funny having to also have that conversation. It's like, well, how bad is bad? And Evil Dead isn't the only low budget, godsend. It's just it's not the only one. But I guess people choose their comfort. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of other genre snobs who are that way. I see other people who are fantasy people but don't like anything outside of Lord of the Rings. I see the same thing with sci-fi. Star Trek people are pretty open-minded, but I would see some other Star Wars assholes, and it's like, what? You do know there's something else besides this kind of thing. I mean, to catch 22, why? It's like Star Wars is known for not having the best acting, but that didn't change anything because people liked how epic it was. But why? Again, so then you could bring up the argument: why is it okay here versus there? And not every element has to be 100%. You don't. I mean, let's say this plot was way worser. I could still look for something to find fun in it, but then I may not like it in a deliberately good way. I might like it in a so bad it's good way. So then it's interesting how if you get a quarter of the things right, people just like to act like it's all for nothing. And I'm like,
well, I think what we've learned is that if you're making a B movie, you might want to cast Harrison Ford, because he is going to elevate your project into top tier franchise, and you're going to have success for decades and decades based on
what do you wish, Harrison? I don't care.
All right. Well, how do you feel about doing some trivia right now?
I'm here.
Time for trivia.
All right. Well, you've already gotten one of these like basically correct, but I'll let you fill in the question. You had mentioned this film features a Pazuzu statue, which was the personification of a demonic figure, which was featured in the classic possession film.
From The Exorcist. Yes.
Correct. The Exorcist is not ever explicitly named outright, but there you go. It's very clear that is one of the references in this film. And of course, like we said, this is a movie by horror lovers for horror lovers having fun making a ridiculous horror film. And on that note, question number 2, Kane Hodder plays a security guard in this film, as we mentioned a little bit in the outset. What is the name on his name tag?
Did they actually say Voorhees?
It says Jason Voorhees.
Jay Voorhees
on his name, on the security name tag that he's wearing. Look at that. two for two. You came to play today.
Maybe that's how Jason died.
All right. Well, question 3. We've got a little bit of a tougher question compared to the first 2. But since you've seen Wishmaster 2, you might get this one. Which director turned down this film, also initially turned down the sequel before agreeing to take on Wishmaster 2?
Jack Shoulder.
That's right. Look at that. 3 for 3. Batting 1,000 today.
Isn't that funny, though? Is like, I actually have some fun trivia from behind the scenes. I don't know if you want this on air.
Oh, yeah. No, this is the time for it.
When they were filming Wishmaster 2, there was apparently a scene where they wanted to like have a misinterpret a prisoner's request to be urinated on. And Divoff was like, you don't want me to actually do that on set. Okay, let me, not to be disrespectful, let's figure out an alternate. And the director was just kind of so busy trying to get it done. I'm like, yeah, let's not do that.
Let's not piss on a cast member while we're trying to get this production finished.
And so I think this is it. It's just so funny seeing filmmakers who are so busy getting it done, they're forgetting about set norms. And it's like, we're not, when we're having people die, you don't ask them to actually kill people, right? Come on.
Oh, whoops. We're just making a movie. I forgot about that. All right. No actual killing today, people.
Oh, man.
Very, very interesting. I mean, this movie, the original Wishmaster, it says that somebody broke into one of the sets and stole the cameras during production.
What?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, first of all, huge genre fan, was like, no, I hate Wishmaster so much that I'm not going to allow this movie to even be made. I'm stealing the cameras. Sent here by Freddy Krueger himself. But yeah, that was one of the bits of trivia that I read about this.
I might have read that one.
It's one of the crazier pieces of trivia that I've read because you had to break into the sets and steal the cameras for this.
You might have
didn't steal like any of the props or anything. You just stole the cameras. Like, it seems very intentional. Like somebody got fired and then came back and was like, well, I'm taking your equipment then.
It sounds like that kind of inside job. Given how I do work security almost all the time, I see my fair share of inside jobs where it's like, how did you think this is going to end?
Yeah. The other thing that I found probably most refreshing in reading the trivia was that Robert Kurtzman is very fond of the experience. You know, he did an interview with Backwoods Horror where he said, Wishmaster was a great experience. I had a very short schedule and had to deliver the film into theaters in 6 months, start to finish. So it was really stressful, but very fulfilling. Sam Raimi actually recommended me for the film.
Yep.
And after half a dozen meetings with the studio, I finally got the job. I had to go in and pitch my take on the film and its design. We shot it in 33 days in LA, which was tough as we had dozens of locations all around the city. So we had a lot of company moves. We had hundreds of FX, which was a bit of a challenge as the schedule was really tight. And he said, I was very lucky to find Andrew Divoff and Tammy Lauren. Divoff is still a very close friend who I enjoy working with on whatever we can find together. And we now have this second hand when we work together. So very cool that, like, despite all of the enormous challenges here, despite being like, hey, you got to make a successful film in 6 months, you're going to film in 33 days. And then it's a lot of effect shots after that, to be like, yeah, I came out on the other side of this very positive and made a good friend out of it. And we still look for things to do together.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it's great to hear.
I had seen another movie they did. I can understand that one not being as successful because it's kind of making fun of mad scientist kind of movies. And I guess everyone was burned down on all the homage movies after a while, and it was very low budget. So I guess that's just it too. It's just like, we keep mentioning Jim Carrey. You're not the only one. I've seen other people bring it up. I guess you just got to have him be in some other anthology movie, I guess. I don't
know. Check it out. But was there any other like behind the scenes trivia you wanted to share? Or
yeah, I really dig the producer of this, who produced Pierre David. He's a Canadian producer who's did a lot of the Cronenberg stuff. So he did all the Scanner movies, Videodrome, and but basically around this time, he, after doing sequels to this, and he pretty much made a living doing other Lionsgate or Sony type movies, as well as psycho thrillers that would play on USA Network, HBO, and Lifetime. And he just
need those.
He conquered the whole made for TV direct to video market, and did sequels to this, and also produced the Dentist franchise, similar kind of thing,
Yeah, I was talking about the Dentist with some friends, and
oh, sweet.
The Fuzz, a friend Michelle, she was like, I don't do like mouth stuff. So I was like, oh, we got to watch the Dentist. So, nope, not gonna happen. That's a good one too, though. I mean, we could do that. We could do that movie on this show. Corbin Burson,
I promise.
A lot of fun in that. Well, you did great on the trivia. So we're gonna go over to the wheel, and we're gonna spin the wheel and see what bonus questions you get, because those are always like the fun speculative questions to do. So.
Yes.
All right, let's see. You get the food one first. What snack would you pair with this movie?
Ooh. Man, I knew it was something like this. I feel like I would just get all kinds of dark chocolates and just all kinds of sweets. If I'm getting other people to tag along, I'm going to make sure we get all kinds of other pretzels and stuff. But I want to have like a variety of those kinds of snacks. You know what I mean?
Different snacks for all the different kills.
Like, oh, absolutely, yeah. Because if you do a drink, you'll be so hammered by the time before the movie's even a third of the way through.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably go with like something red. So maybe like red vines or like a big cherry icy and get a brain freeze going. All right, well, that's one down. Let's see what else we got on this wheel. Okay. All right. If you could ask one character from the film a question, who would it be, and what's the question?
I would ask the Wishmaster, why do you even exist in the first place?
Yeah, because she was like, I want to know you. And he's just like, no. That's not going to happen, lady.
That was actually a good impression.
Yeah, that's interesting. The question that I guess that popped into my head first was the guy Nick, right, who's trying to date Tammy Loren in the beginning.
Yeah, I like how you kind of just show how dim-witted he is. Like, he is, when she's giving him all this expo dump, he is not paying any attention to her at all. He's just wondering when he can go out and date her.
That's all he's thinking about. He's had a crush on her for a long time. He can't focus. He only hangs out with her because he's got that crush.
He's hiding behind money and thinks that will buy her, but clearly he's waiting his turn because she's clearly still interested in.
That's what he's hoping for. But
yeah,
when he first investigates the gem and it explodes and I guess paralyzes him. Whatever happens to him, but he's in pain. He's on the ground, and he sees little, like, gross, slimy, lizard-like creature crawling towards him. And he's like, I can ease your pain. Do you want me to ease your pain? It'd be like, I would ask Nick, why are you trusting this little creature here with easing your pain? Like, why did you buy into accepting that so quickly? Because I mean, yes, you probably have like a traumatic head injury at that point after the explosion. You're obviously in a lot of pain. You're not moving, but still, like, you would notice that this is not like a human being here. So maybe pump the brakes on accepting favors. Desperate times.
I think they showed so much of how he just wasn't very bright. I just already got the sense it's like, yeah, of course he's going to be taken advantage of, and he's going to get what's coming.
Because it's like, you could, like, glass exploded in his face. You could have very easily been like, oh, he was blinded by that. So he doesn't see that this creature is a slithering monster. But instead, he's staring right at him, like he freaks out when he first sees him because he knows it's weird. But then he's like, oh, sure, ease my pain. That's what I want.
There you go. That's what I like about this one compared to, say, Reanimator, where you got to get in the mode to go on such a trippy movie, and it's not as like Society, where it's really awesome but very, very, very dark, and only for the right crowd. And it's definitely not like Dr. Giggles or Leprechaun, where no one acts like an actual human being, and you just have to.
That's a good point.
Shut your brain off just to get through it.
The whole reality is a little bent here, but all right. Well, we got one more question on the wheel, and it's a good one, so choose carefully. If you could be one character in this movie, who would you pick and why?
Oh man. I know most are gonna say the Wishmaster. I would I'd probably be one of the other security guards, I'd be the detective
Okay.
who opens fire on the prisoner who shoots up the police station. And I'd be like, I needed an arrest warrant for this guy. He was asking me all these creepy questions about this guy. I'd be like, this would definitely be like falling down. I'd be like, that's my defense. Go after that man. Do not ask him questions. Do not, don't even. I would even give him a strict order if I was observant enough. I'd be like, don't even make that a request or a question, because like that's the other thing too. Like you see the dumb security guard at the beginning of Wishmaster 2, but he makes the mistake of getting too close and asking a question. Like, what are you doing? It's like, let's go with reality, which is you're face down. I'm putting you in this cell. No one is to talk to this man. Keep him away from the other prisoners. Oh.
I don't know who I would want to be in this movie because the djinn he doesn't end up well off. So that's not great.
And I don't want to I could understand if you want to live a rock star life, that'd be cool. But if you, that's just it. Like the wrong kind of person would take advantage of the wishes towards like, yeah, so you're basically doing mind controlled assault on people. I don't want to do that. I want to actually, I'd rather be a more wackier version of the Wishmaster where I'm fighting like some other supernatural horror villains. So like I would rather be in a versus movie. And apparently Robert Kurtzman did have a Candyman versus Wishmaster poster in that Photoshop job that he did in 2016. So that would have been cool.
That would have been a lot of fun.
I mean, he'd be perfect now that everyone has figured out that the Ash is part of the Freddy and Jason verse. It'd be cool if you could put him in there somewhere where he comes out of the book of spells.
Yeah, I would definitely watch it. I guess if I had to pick a character in this movie, it'd probably be Beaumont, Robert Englund's character, just because it's
nice.
He's rich and he's got the vest and he seems like he's having a good time.
Seems like a nice guy he's actually like funding these various expos instead of just a rich person who's terrible and who you want to have die,
Yeah, it's like he's a little bit like obtuse, but at the same time,
he's arrogant, but he's at least
sure
trying to, I guess,
he just wants to have a cool party.
Yeah, he's not listening to her advice, but at least he seems helpful at first versus other people who are just so annoying or just like, I want to trip you. You're awful,
Yeah, well, it's like he's an art collector too, right? So it's like he shows up at the dock and he's like, I've been waiting for this for 10 years. Like he's invested in the thing that he does. I think I could settle with that. And I get to dress nice in the process too.
Yes. You get to
always important.
Take one for the team and warn the heroine, go run away.
Yeah. Right, yeah. My last heroic act before I'm sacrificed to the genie. But yeah, that concludes the wheel. We got some fun questions off of there. One thing that I haven't quite like fully fleshed out how I'm going to like interject this new segment into the show, but I'll test it out right now because the idea is in my head and I don't want to let it get away from me. So I'm always a less is more person.
Nice.
So, however, this segment is going to be more or less. And I want you to tell me something that you want more of in this movie and something that you want less of in this movie.
Man, I want their like part 3 was a misfire, but I wish there had been some other. I guess there should have been. I want more sequels.
Oh, wow. How many are there?
Just 4. And a lot of people pretend that the 3rd and 4th didn't happen because they're basically, they were always on sci-fi and they always felt like Lifetime boring made in Canada dramas with Skinamax moments. And they talked about doing a 5th one that would just acknowledge the first 2 for a while. And I'm like, yeah, you should have been up to 5 through 10. I would have seen it. Like, why does Hellraiser have this many? And don't get me wrong, I like the first 5, but there's maybe the first 6 even, but there's plenty that should not have been, should not have existed. And then, Puppet Master will always go on, but that's campy. So, why can't this?
And then how many, they've cycled back to redo Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and Candyman.
Right.
You totally could have come full circle and done Wishmaster again.
I've seen people mention Jim Carrey. I've seen people mention William Dafoe. It's like, okay, if you're going to go there, then still make sure the plot has enough to lose and there's some other wacky nature to it. I don't want just deliberately, I don't want Sharknado level stupid. And I also don't want like intentionally bad like Leprechaun. And I also don't want, just homage. Let's redo the same shit that we did, a billion times already. Like you would have to. I'd be okay with. You know what? I'll get John Francis Daly. I'll get a few other comedians. Maybe I'll put Jack Black in there somewhere. But I'll get someone who's a comedian who can be very, very clever and be like. And by the way, you just got to wrap the Wishmaster around this.
Yeah, well, he just played Satan in that Christmas movie that I didn't.
So there you go. See,
yeah, Jack Black seems like the right sort of wavelength for that.
Why was movies like Bedazzled a hit, but Wishmaster was only going to be a video store hit? I mean, it didn't lose much money because it was already low budget. But I mean, really, come on.
Well, one of the questions on the wheel that I didn't ask you was a fun one in that if they were going to make a new Wishmaster right now, who do you want to direct that movie?
Okay. I know some people vary on Kurtzman directing or not. I'll tell you what. Are you a fan of the Lavantula movies?
Excuse me, the what?
Lavantula?
Is that like a lava tarantula?
Yes.
Well, I've never seen them, but it sounds like something I would have fun with.
It's amazing. So those were by American filmmaker Mike Mendez, and he's done everything from Big Ass Spider to The Convent to Grave Dancers to Don't Kill It with Dolph Lundgren. All of his movies have action. They have very, very fun. He did Satanic Hispanics. He's done. They're very fun horror, but with heart and comedy that delivers. He did The Last Heist. He did one of the installments of Tales of Halloween. I think he would totally get it. He would be like, I know what I'm making. He would know that as much as he's making a blockbuster movie, he would also get that he is doing a deliberately over the top movie. He wouldn't. So many people overthink this. And I mean, trust me, I've had my share of an action or a comedy that you can't take seriously, but because everyone's so ego driven, they're like, I love working with this guy. I'm like, yeah, but did you look at the script? Come on. He would totally know. I'm making a big budget. This is going to be my Cocaine Bear. This is going to be my, fun creature feature instead of a overthought, diminishing return.
Cool. All right. I like that one. And then before I let you off the hook completely, what was the thing that you wanted less of? You said more sequels.
Yeah.
Movie, what do you want less of? Damn.
Again, no movie's foolproof. I'm just trying to think. I would. I mean, I wouldn't mind a prequel showing how he became the magician, but I guess so more magic, but less. I mean, since part 3 was a very lazy regurgitation of part 1, less college stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, less museum stuff that happens in part 2 is like so less of the origin. He can tell us so less expo. Like the movies that are very dense, very complex, those need an expo dump. Movies that are exactly what they say they are on paper, it doesn't, it doesn't take much to put it all together. It's not a puzzle. So
he's an evil genie. Did you get that?
Yeah, I can hear what he's doing while he's doing his usual taunting of everybody. That is way more interesting while he's laying some mystery because he's having fun torturing everybody, and they're like, "What do you want?" So it's like all that interaction is going to keep happening, but I want definitely more of the whole. Just like, here's how he got here while he's doing it, and like what, like, so look at every blockbuster movie you like. Why do you like the car chases in the Terminator? Because it's moving the story forward as opposed to a standalone sequence you could take out of like a lesser Lethal Weapon movie, and you mentioned some great slashers. Why do you like the good ones versus the terrible sequels? Because the first one was a legit effort. Yeah, the editor knew when to cut away and go on to the next thing and fill in the blanks, and I mean, it's funny, we were talking genres. We did a funny Indiana Jones special, and a lot of people who don't like horror, their favorite was Temple of Doom. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
People who hated action love Raiders. So a movie can do impossible stuff for people sometimes when it clicks. The fun is very apparent, but also the purpose and I guess definitely have some more multi-genre. I would love to see the Wishmaster get in sword fights and more nightclub stuff.
Give me a big like red
Archangel Gabriel
ruby sword.
Yes.
Fight Candyman with his hook and a swarm of bees.
Oh man,
we got this.
I'd be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did Freddy and Jason?
The sex script.
He's got to fight the Predator. And
yeah, sounds like a blast. I mean, all the licensing's a nightmare, but it sounds like an absolute
I'll take it over all the billions of Universal homages and ripoffs.
All right, we're back.
Never went anywhere, I swear. I promise.
Never went anywhere. The power never went out. Nothing ever changed.
You wish.
As you wish, the people wish for Critics Corner. So now it's time for Critics Corner. And usually I pull from Metascore because it sort of just like gets everything in one place conveniently and we get an overall score. But in this case, there's no Metascore for this movie. So I pieced it together a little bit from Rotten Tomatoes, some from Letterboxd. So we still have some reviews to go through for this movie. And we always start at the bottom and we work our way up to the top so that we close out with the best one. And we're starting with a 0.5 star review. So yeah, at the very bottom. And this is James Bardinelli from Real Views. And he says, my best advice to anyone reading this review, even someone who considers himself or herself a fan of horror movies, is to stay away. So our buddy James did not care for this movie whatsoever.
He loves all kinds of comedy. He takes it upon himself to even remind everybody he's cool with having blunt violence because he's a blunt guy. He likes brutal honesty, and yet it doesn't take long for him to even get bored by content in a movie, which is interesting. He wants people to not hold back, but at the same time, he'll go as far as to say so and so's phoning it in. If he does not like your movie.
Yeah, I have read James reviews quite a bit on this show, so I'm familiar with him and the fact that he has his name pop up as many times as he does, talking about quote unquote bad movies. I think it says a lot, but there was no 1 star, so that'll be our sort of like bottom of the barrel, and then we're gonna jump up to a 2 star, and this is Cat Hughes from THN.
Nice.
Says this movie starts well enough with a Hellraiser-esque moment, but soon dissolves into expected horror trope after horror trope before an ending that renders the entire movie defunct and unnecessary.
Whoa. So even though it was all undone, they're like, nah, not undid. Everything.
Yeah, I know. It's like...
They wanted to watch the world burn.
I guess. I mean... Because it's like, yeah, it's a horror movie. It ends up becoming a franchise. You sort of like need to keep the idea of a sequel open. And this is a good way to do it. I don't know that it makes the movie. I think it would maybe make the movie unnecessary if you're sort of approaching it.
It would be more
from,
like Final Destination, where you're like, that was fun, but kind of meh. What was the point? Versus,
well, like if you're looking for sort of like a horror movie to have a through line from the first one to the next one in the franchise and so on, like you see, or like was originally planned for Halloween at least, then
the shape's a good contrast. Yeah.
So then when you get to a story that at the very end just starts back at the beginning and nothing happened, it's like, really, things did happen. It wasn't like nothing happened. It's just that this particular like bubble in the universe gets undone. And then the second movie, as far as I got through it when it started again on Tubi, like doesn't pick up with these same characters again. So in that way, by the time you're in number 2, I think you could maybe say the first one sort of undoes what you wanted about it, but you wouldn't know that at the end of the first one, I don't think.
That's true. I mean, I think it was a damned if you do, damned if you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, people didn't like this movie, so in fairness, that's why we're reading the low star reviews right now. But we're going to go up the board. We're going to get to a 3-star. And this is Mike Massey from Gone with the Twins. Says a little of it makes sense, but the djinn's powers of deception are quite humorous, and the look of the picture is unexpectedly impressive. So now we're starting to see the other side of the coin, where I think Mike here understands that the movie is a little wacky. It doesn't have to make sense because the point is that the deception is the fun, and the movie actually looks good. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's a pretty complimentary one, to be honest.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to how people thought Roger Ebert wasn't a horror guy. And it's like, he likes horror. He just doesn't like it when it's just mindless and boring. And I think this is kind of an example of this guy knows the genre, but is also kind of like, hey, it's not for all audiences. He's giving a disclaimer, which is kind of what you want in a critic. You want someone to be neutral.
Yeah, and this is also a horror movie that is like starting its first entry at a time where a lot of the other ones, like just that we talked about recently on your show, was Hellraiser, Halloween, like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Careful what you ask for. You might get something that destroys you.
Yeah, I mean, in all of those other franchises, though, they're kind of long in the tooth already at that point. You know, in 1997, a lot of those are already 5 movies deep. So to be starting like a brand new character and to be like trying to launch a new franchise at that point, you have to differentiate yourself from all these other existing franchises. And I think Wishmaster actually tries to do that.
Right. He usually just grins instead of letting out a Freddy kind of laugh or being a silent guy like Myers or Jason.
Yeah, he's a little more snarky than Freddy.
We don't know how he got here other than that he's basically he's just a psychopath. He's shameless. He just loves watching the world burn.
He does. He's a genie and he's also a psycho.
And what does he get?
But it's a good mix.
Yeah. Anything more would probably be too much or just take away from the fun. And I did see a lot of people echoing your concerns that he's a Jim Carrey type where he just loves being just so flamboyant and 1 minute and then just shameless the next. It's like, yeah, sure. Why wouldn't I do this? I have all the power.
That's true. I mean, but he, I guess, is limited in that he doesn't have the power to actually do the thing that he wants to do.
Correct.
So it would be fun though to still have like Wishmaster versus the Mask crossover, because then it's like you both basically have the same power set but have to use it very differently, and you'd get Jim Carrey still. So yeah, it's never going to happen, but I can dream. That'll be my wish.
Is that what you wish in the casting?
Okay, so we're going up the board again. We're going to 4-star, and this is Jerry Chambray from Your Movies says gimmicky but smart horror film. So Jerry likes to keep it short and sweet, but he seemed to enjoy himself because he gave it a 4 out of a 5. So
Whoa.
Gimmicky but smart. Look at him.
That's so
Way to go,
unreal.
Jerry. Way to go, Jerry. You're the only one so far to call it smart. All right, the last one on the board, I didn't find a 5-star that had a review that I could pull. So the highest we got is a 4.5, and this is Luke Spafford from Starburst. Says, some of us started our journey with Wishmaster, and through its unbridled sense of silliness, it is our classic, our entrance to the genre. What more could we wish for? There you go, Luke. I think,
baby.
Yeah, I think Luke nailed it. Because, like I said, this is like for a different generation almost of horror fans, because all of those other established titles had already had so many that you didn't feel like you were getting in on the ground floor of those, like, because you couldn't. Like, if you were, yeah, exactly. If you're a kid at that point, if this is your first experience with horror, even if it's not, all of the other movies that you would have watched at this point are, you're at Hellraiser like 4 at that point. You're so deep in the franchises. Yeah, you're at so many. You're at such a depth at all the other franchises that maybe none of them feel like yours. So I'm glad that Luke took the time to actually point that out and be like, this was the beginning for a lot of people. And it's a great movie. It's sort of like a starter horror movie in that way, and that it does pay homage to so many different horror films. It clearly loves the genre. It loves the people that have worked in the horror industry as well, but it doesn't pay homage in a way that I feel is only sort of like surface level servicing, where it's like, here, we're just going to use a shot from this movie and we're going to replicate that shot in our movie. Instead, this is very much about like celebrating the people that have helped elevate the overall like horror genre.
We can't get Bruce Campbell. That would take up all our budget. So we're just going to get people who have done all these do-it-yourself B movies, drive-in films. And
yeah. And I mean, I think it works. I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about it. There's something I wasn't going to do that I am going to do because I just thought about it. What are your 3 wishes for the Wishmaster franchise?
So I want there to be 3 different sequels.
Okay.
I want Andrew Divoff to have a crowd-funded movie of his pick, of his choosing.
Okay, I like that one.
And being the mega fan that I am, that I even own the soundtrack for part 2 and what have you, that's how crazy I am. Given how there was even a novelization that finally came out in 2016, I wish there would be a comic book continuation.
Yeah, I think, talking with some of your friends on your show, the depths that the comic can go to and the room that it has to grow, because when these books are getting published, like, they don't have to succeed in the same way that a movie does in order for a production studio to maybe get cold feet and back out of doing sequels. There's so much more room for the comic to just like find its audience and maybe not be immediately successful, and you can trust the writers and the artists to just have the space to like do the work without the pressure of having to make $15 to $20 million in order to see if you're going to work again.
Pressure's the best way to put it.
Yeah. The comics, I think, are a really great idea for expanding this universe and this character. You take it all the way back to the beginning, even.
If you don't like it, you rip it up. You don't read the rest. If you do like it, you want more. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff that works as a comic, but doesn't work as a movie, as we've seen with comic book adaptations, but kind of reverse psychology. What might be too much as a movie would just be a box office bomb, or people saying, oh, cash grab, would be perfect as a comic because you can get as over the top as you want.
Yeah. And plus, one of the other benefits of the comic is like, whether you do an ongoing series or whether you do like a limited series, or whether you want to say, let's do a 4 to 6 book run on the origin of the djinn. And
Lovely.
then we're gonna jump forward into like ancient Greece, and he's there, right? We're gonna do our ancient Egypt, and each of those are gonna be 4 to 6 to maybe 8 issues in that series. You're not committing to this ongoing thing, and then each time you can either like keep the same writers, or you can bring in new writers and new artists, so that it always has a different look and a slightly different feel to it. And that's a great thing about comics as well, is that the writers can change so frequently.
Yes.
And bring their own like ideas to the character. So yeah, a comic book series would actually be a great idea. So I mean, I don't know if what'd you say, Lionsgate, or who has the rights to this?
Yep, Lionsgate.
All right, so they need to talk to a publisher, go to Image, or maybe
it's not hard to do.
Think.
They apparently in 2009 did both a comic book for Warlock and Leprechaun. I kid you not.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look for those and see.
They were a lot of fun. The Warlock one would have been perfect. They just couldn't use Julian Sands' likeness, but close enough. Just have a blonde guy. And Leprechaun was just as trashy as it needed to be. As like, see, but it's comic.
Perfect. Well, that's a great segue into the final question, the final segment of the show, and that is, I want to know, what is a good gateway drug movie for Wishmaster? So, for people that have no idea what Wishmaster is and are curious about it, like what's a good bridge movie for them to be able to be like, hey, here's something that is a little more popular, maybe a little bit more palatable, that'll get them on the road to Wishmaster?
Definitely Gremlins 1 or 2. I think that is going to get you into the naughty mood that this film is going for.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think initially, like, my first 2 were Warlock, and Leprechaun. Warlock plays it a little, maybe a little too serious to like get you there. Yeah. So maybe Leprechaun is the better fit of the 2.
It's more trashy.
Yeah, a little more trashy, a little bit more fun. Like you have,
especially when it goes to the hood.
Yeah, you got the creepy little dude jumping around, like cracking jokes as he's killing people. So I think that like just the tone of the movie is a little bit more dialed in to where Wishmaster is. So yeah, if you like the Leprechaun series, you probably have fun with Wishmaster.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it. That's a wrap. I want to give you a chance now. I know we talked a little bit at the outset about the show, but I want to give you a chance to, plug the show, tell my audience what you're doing and where they can find you.
Thank you, sir, for the shared platform. Jacked Up Review Show. That just came from just, we'll goof around, we'll jack it up, we'll blow it up. It was just a funny name render that happened, and we've been here since 2019, just recording all kinds of deep cuts from popular bands that don't get talked enough to book clubs to wacky comic book crossovers to we're going to be doing more franchise rankings. Especially, it's so funny how many different movies and shows are actually in the same universe.
Yeah, I saw that you put up I guess it was the preview for the Blade Runner comic.
Yeah, we decided let's do most 3/4 of a month of just nothing but Philip K. Dick and Blade Runner Total Recall inspired stuff, and that was a success. It was fun getting various bloggers on that, like the guy who runs Future Sci-Fi Warfare. He's always a fun guy to pick his brain on, and Josh Hansen from Action Movie Book Club, which I recommend to everybody. He's a delight. If you want to see what sports he covers on his blog, I can link you with that. And and in the future, we'll likely be having every Halloween, October be X-Files themed month. So we're doing all kinds. Yeah, the djinn would have been perfect in an X-Files episode.
Yeah, right. He just pops up every season once.
Is that what you wish, Scully?
Like, he's back again, right?
Yeah. Mulder, you don't really want to do that, do you?
No. Be like, Mulder would say something like, I really wish Scully and I could be together. And then he hellraisers them into
I wish you would make me believe.
I wish they were real.
And then Skinner comes in and shoots the djinn in the face. Go back. There is actually an episode of that has a guy granting a wish, a monkey's paw episode, but it's so different. But a guy can wish. Yeah, we try to do all kinds of pop culture. We shoot the shit, and we have all kinds of fun retro guys who cover all kinds of genres and eras, and we try to have it be all inclusive for everybody. We never want anyone to ever feel left out, or like it came in or they had to be there, or it's old people talking about old shit or new stuff that you have no interest in. We try to find a good cultural gap, because the last thing we want is a podcast where you want to shut it off because everybody's being snobby or playing pranks on each other and it's not fun to listen to. We aim for an amusing listen.
Yeah, I had a good time. Just now.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that. That's the secret sauce, is that we had to record this episode in 2 halves, but the power's back on now, for the time being at least. So here we are. I appreciate you lending me your time, coming on the show.
Sure.
Just shooting the shit about Wishmaster and your love of the horror genre in general. I'm sure we'll find something else. I know I shot you the wish list. There's horror movies on there.
Yeah.
But seriously, anything that you really love and are passionate about is probably a good place to start. So we'll circle back and make sure that we get another.
You had a lot of contenders where I'm like, I could defend any of those. Like any.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, they're all on the list. That's just like if somebody wants to hang out and they don't really have something they want to like really talk about. But I always, at least the first one, I always want to make sure it's something that like my guest is like really, really wants to go to bat for. And so I'm super happy that you loved Wishmaster enough to really like step up to the plate and hit it out of the park.
Well, I think that's the other thing too. Like I see so many others who want to talk about something, but it's like there was peer pressure for a while. Oh, no one else knows about it, therefore it's uncool to talk about. Like that's, where are you getting this from? That's not a thing. And you also want to have just a fun reflection. Just someone makes time to make sense of something, whether they liked it or not is irrelevant. I love it nothing more than someone validates a movie instead of just goes on a blog and just destroys someone's character. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this show is for the most part. It's we do talk about some popular movies, but for the most part, these are movies that are not super popular. Like I just did Absurd with a friend. That's the episode.
It looks like great makeup, but I had fun listening to you the clips on. It's a crazy movie. It's more of a so bad it's good kind of fun movie.
Yeah, it is, but like it's a 1980s Italian film. It's not like I wouldn't say it's in the realm of like insanely obscure, but for the most part, like the average person, myself included, I had no idea what this movie was going into it. But fortunately, Steven and I kicked around some ideas and I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling this one, but let's go with this one. And we had a great time talking about it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So.
I think I saw Cinema Psyops talk about it once upon a time, but that was...
Yeah, it's that kind of movie, and that's what we'll do. So, like, yeah, we'll I talk about blockbusters on here sometimes, depending on the movie, and we're going to be doing a new segment this year, which is called Bad Movie Futures, which will talk about current movies that are sort of like whatever the new hot worst movie of the year is kind of thing. And right. So like stuff like Joker, Megalopolis, like Craven the Hunter is one of those. And so those kinds of movies, I think that just have overwhelmingly bad reviews that are new are going to be in this section. And we'll talk about sort of the movie itself, a little bit about like what the future for this movie looks like. Do we think it'll sort of change over the course of time? And yeah, just a little bit more like speculative about like what this movie's chances are of becoming more popular and more well reviewed as time goes on.
It's wild though, too, what people jump on a bandwagon versus which ones are just like, oh, there's fans out there, trust me.
Yeah, that's what I've learned talking about movies online, is that you'll always find the fans of something out there. And, I want to talk to those fans and have them come on the show and tell me why they love this thing that everybody else doesn't like. That's the whole point. And I get to make new friends. I get to talk to people like you who love Wishmaster. It's great.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And we'll do it again soon. All right.
You know it, my dude.
Take care.
All right. Be safe out there.
A huge thank you to Sully for coming on the show, and not just for coming on the show, but for helping me re-record the final segment of the show after we lost power during our first recording. It was not so subtle in the final product, but if you were listening closely, you caught it and probably wondered what happened. Maybe not. And then I did my job. I'll stop rambling now because Sully is the host of Jacked Up Review Show podcast. Get together with a lot of friends on that show and talk about all things in pop culture. I was very fortunate to be invited on the show to talk about Wishmaster moments. So it's all full circle, and I'm going to make sure that I have all that stuff up for you in the show notes so you can easily find them and find the show. And next week, we're closing out January with another new friend talking about Rick Alverson's The Comedy. It's going to be a good one. And of course, thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to this episode. I know you have a lot of choices when it comes to podcasts, and I appreciate you spending your time with us. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you do, please consider leaving a rating and a review and telling a friend about it. And the support page is live over at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/badmovieswelove. I'd also love to hear from you. So if you have a bad movie you love and or would like to be a guest on the show, you can contact me directly at badmovieswelove@theshice.com or badmovieswelove on Twitter and Instagram. And that's love spelled L-U-V. Until next time, take care, be well, and have fun however you get your movies.